So it is 12:05. I'm going to keep my word and I am going to say good afternoon and welcome. Um, I'm just scrolling. I'm pulling up the agenda and our yes. So good afternoon. Welcome to our 134th annual business meeting of the Alumni Association of the Philadelphia High School for Girls. Um, I, for those of you who I have not met either in person or virtually, my name is Azeb Kinder. I am the president of the Alumni Association and a proud member of the 234th graduating class, which, to do the math very quickly, I'm a member of the class of 1990. Um, and so this is my 35th anniversary graduation uh, from our beloved alma mater. And so I am so happy to see you all here. I know that we are all of us busy. You are all mothers, wives, daughters, sisters, friends, employees. You play a multitude of roles, and so for you to take to come and meet with our alma mater means the world, and we thank you for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about what's going on with our alma mater. We're going to update you. We are, as always, and I have to say that for those of you who have not met her yet, is going to be a pleasure for you to meet our current principal. She is here. She shows up even though she is busy, 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 she always shows up. You're going to meet Principal Argra today, and she's going to tell you what's happening with the school. And so you're going to hear that. We're going to talk a little bit about our vision for the upcoming school year. And we're going to talk about the future and sustainability of our alma mater. And then you're going to hear about how you can either get more engaged, get engaged, um, and how to continue to support our alma mater. And so in the agenda, in the annual report, you'll see about us, the history of the Alumni Association. I'm not going to go over that just because it's there for your perusal at your leisure. And in that, it's a fascinating history. If you don't know the history of the Alumni Association, it's fascinating. Please, I encourage you to read about it. Um, but if you scroll and you'll see that in there. You'll see more about vision, which is basically honoring history and legacy of the Philadelphia High School for Girls. I foster empowers alumni and girls through education, leadership, and enduring tradition. And the mission of the Alumni Association, sorry, my, I'm sorry, my mouse just has a mind of its own. Sorry. So the mission of the Alumni Association is to perpetuate the ideals and promote the welfare of the Philadelphia High School for Girls, to further and protect the interests of the association and its members, to cultivate fellowship and helpfulness among them, and to advance in every way all efforts looking to the enlargement and enhancement of opportunities for women. So that's always what we keep in the forefront of our minds as we do anything around programming, around how we support our alma mater, around how we conduct ourselves, and how we interact with one another. Um, this year, we have been focusing, and we created some core values because, as you all know, in your daily interactions, in your organizations, whatever it may be, whether it's your jobs, whether it's your social organizations, we thought it was important to come up with some core values that guided us as we, again, whether it's around our programming, whether it's around our fundraising, whether it's around how we interacted as board members to one another or outward facing. These are the core values that we thought were important for us to keep in mind as we go about our day to day interactions. And those core values are service, responsibility, integrity, sustainability, collaboration, excellence, innovation, transparency, respect, and inclusion and diversity. And I think that if you look at these core values, so many of those were instilled in us during our time at Girls High. And so they are things that remained with us over the years and are what really helps guide us and as we do this work. And so it's very important to us that we, as a board, have those as our guideposts, have those as when we are questioning decisions that we make, when we're making decisions, when we are evaluating what we do, we go back to these core values to make sure that that we use those and make sure that that's what we were doing. So those are our core values. Now we wanted to introduce you to our board members, many of whom are on the call today. So, again, I am serving as your president. Our vice president is Nanette Bennett, class of 237, 1993. Our amazing treasurer, Terry Lewis, is on the call. um, Chris Sajan Peacock, who is not only our financial secretary, but who was an interim principal at Girls High at one time a few years back. Cheryl Cooper, who is on the call, she's serving as our corresponding secretary. Michaela Jackson. We have Danyada Tinson Smith, Michelle Montez, Twy Chin, Kimberly Wilkins, Gwen Benton, who is here on the call, and Tanya O'Neill, who is on the call with us. We have two terms that are also vacant, which we will talk a little bit about as well. And those are our board members. And so as you all know, we have a board um, our elections every year in April. We are always, especially when we have vacancies, we do informational sessions every year. When we do have vacancies during the year, we do we reach out to folks. If you see that there is a vacancy, like there are two vacancies now, and you say, "Huh, I think I might be interested," please reach out to our executive director. We can have a conversation. And if it turns out that this is a good fit for you and you're a good fit for us, you can be appointed to the board. I mean, it's not, it's not a popularity contest. What it really truly is we're looking for a fit. If your skill set is a good fit for the board, then we are looking for you. We really want people. We want we know that you love the school. That's a bare minimum. Loving the school, that's fantastic. Skill set match, that's what we need. And so if you're wondering, well, what is the skill sets we're looking for? We're looking for folks who have backgrounds in communication. We're looking for folks who have skill sets with finance, uh, PR, development. Those are the things that we very, very, though, I mean, we're looking for other things as well, but those things in particular, if you really have a passion, experience, and knowledge in those particular areas, please reach out to us. We could very much use your assistance. Okay. And just as a reminder, we are a 501(c)(3) organization. Any donations made to the organization are tax deductible. Our EIN number is there. It's also on the website if you want any more information. Everything, you can get it there, but all of this information is available on our website. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, we always encourage you to reach out to us. On that note, I would like to turn it over to our fantastic, extremely efficient, and effective treasurer, Ms. Terry Lewis, who is going to share a financial overview of the Alumni Association because it's very important that we are good stewards of the donations, of the monies that you donate to the organization. So, Terry, I'd like to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the class of 226, 1982. Shout out. Um, as you can see on the screen, these numbers are based on our fiscal year, which is July 1st to June 30th. So we have given out $33,000 worth of scholarships and awards to seniors this past year. Also, school support, which includes things as academic cords for graduating seniors. We still do our judicial internship program. And we also renovated the archive room. And you can see we've spent approximately $13,000 there. And if you get a chance, you should stop by the school and check out the archive room. It's really beautiful. Mara, can you hit the next? Thank you. Again, these numbers are based on our June 30, 2005 year. So as you can see, our total revenue uh, is 282,000, total expenses 230, and the assets are actually based on more current information, 9/30/2025. You can see we have a little over $3 million. That includes our bank accounts, our endowed funds, which we have approximately 10 of those. And we also have a money market account that we use for investment purposes. Again, we're currently running some campaigns where, as I'm sure all of you are aware, we're having a library renovation project going on, and we're in the phase 2 of that. We had a class challenge uh, for the first phase. I believe the phase 2 is also another class challenge. We also, of course, have uh, just general donations. So at any time, you can go on the website and make a donation to the organization, which will help fund our scholarships and awards, and also all the support that we give to the school. And we're also having our annual appeal, which will be coming up. That's a yearly drive to support the school. Last year we raised over $53,000, and as you can see, the average gifts was $227.85. But anything you can give is greatly appreciated and will help us support our mission. And if you want to find out any additional information, as stated on the previous slide, you can go to the website, or you can also email Marcia or myself, and we can answer any questions you have or provide any additional information. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
One thing that I want to add, Terry, that all of our financial information is public record, and they can go to Ideally, I think that's how it's pronounced, or Candid, and our financials are posted there. We are truly transparent, so the information is there whenever they would like to access it. Madam President, do you want me to do a quick review of our year and accomplishments?
Absolutely. I would prefer it.
Okay. Well, as the slide states, 2024/25 was a year of celebration, reconnection, and renewal for the Alumni Association. We had a full year. The school welcomed back Erica Alexander to the Pink Marble Halls. She was honored for 40 years, a 40-year retrospective of her career in entertainment. The next month in October was the long awaited unveiling of the Jill Scott mural. And may I add that the proposal for the mural was done by the Alumni Association in 2022 in honor of our 175th anniversary. There were a few things that had to be put in place, but it was not unveiled until 2025. We have a new class of distinguished daughters that were installed in November. We had, for some time, we've done a Galentine's Day event. It was instituted during the COVID pandemic when we couldn't get together in person. And we did 2 years worth of Galentine virtual events. Well, this year we decided we're going in person again. And there was a wreath making workshop held at Temple University, and it was facilitated by Asia, the Wreath Slayer Carpenter, who is a former board director, and she has made a name for herself, not just as an educator and administrator, but as a creative mind. And 20 women came to the workshop and left with their own creations that were amazing and beautiful. Then there was Career Day, which is an annual event, and we are always looking for alum who would come in and spend a day with the girls talking about their career, sharing their wisdom, and it's a good way to interact with our current gazelles, and it's also a good way to reconnect with alum. Then there was the Alumni Network Happy Hour that was held at Landmark Americana on Drexel's campus. I can tell you that there were torrential downpours, but that did not stop anybody from attending. We had a great time, and membership looks forward to presenting more events like this. There was a library fundraiser held in Jenkintown where the money raised was donated to our capital campaign fund, and it was hosted by an alumna, Davita Berger, who owns Curzon Way. Earlier, Terry talked about the Judicial Internship Program. This is hosted by the Honorable Marlene Lackman, and she's done so for more than 10 years. That went off in June, and it was a huge success. Members of the judiciary, who are Girls High girls, pitched in, and it was about 10 alum who helped Marlene with this week long project. In June, we had the honor, both Girls High and the Alumni Association, of being being on the host committee of the International Coalition of Girls Schools Conference in June, from June 23rd to the 25th. We had the pleasure of serving on the host committee, and when I tell you Girls High showed up and showed out, it would be no lie. We were the only public school in Philadelphia, obviously, because we're all girls, and we were well represented. I can tell you that our girls presented. Miss Fanta Mashindi, the dance instructor, her girls were so fabulous that they were invited on the spot to present at the 2026 conference in Toronto. And alumna Magina Matre, who is harpist par excellence, was presented a harp solo, and she got two standing ovations. Principal Katidra Argro presented a workshop on branding, that earned her invitations on international stages as far away as Tanzania. Oh my goodness, Tanzania. This is a pictorial of all of our events of 2024, 2025. Now, I would like to present, it is my honor to present Katidra Argro, the 21st principal of the Philadelphia High School for Girls. And we know she is an alumna, the 243rd graduating class. She is no stranger to leadership. She is a Newbeller fellow. She received the Lindback Foundation Award for Distinguished Principal in 2025. She is currently enrolled in the Aspiring Superintendents Academy for Women and the Howard University HYA Academy for Aspiring Superintendents. She lives what Girls High has taught. We are always learners. Education does not stop. And she shares that inspiration with her girls. At this point, I would like to ask Principal Argro to give us an overview of what's going on at Girls High and the continued work that she does. Principal Argro?
Can you give me sharing access? Good morning, ladies.
Absolutely.
And gents.
Principal
Before
Argro?
I was going to do that, Miss Marshall, gracious. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. I've
Can
made
you
you
hear me?
co-host, so you should
Okay.
have sharing capabilities.
Okay. So I was just saying, both of my assistant principals are on here. I know they're dead and tired because we have been on our second Double Down World Tour with recruitment. We are at about 69 schools. We'll probably top out this school year at 75. And last year we did 48. So we do go around to spread the word about uplifting our brand. A lot of schools or students do not know about the wonderful things that happen at the Philadelphia High School for Girls. Some of the parents are younger, some of the students are younger, some of the counselors are younger. They have no idea. So at this point in our GHS career, we can't rely on reputation. We have to take it to the streets. So I want to give Andrew Walker, some of you never met him, an opportunity just to say hello. He's one of our assistant principals, great addition to the GHS family. He has been received very well. And also Markia McClinton is on here. Both of them were handpicked by me because they understand the assignment. They understand what needs to be done and the hard workload that we need to move forward. And so I worked with Markia 10 years ago as an assistant principal at Ninth Grade Academy. I was at the Martin Luther King and she was at Overbrook. And I met Andrew about like 6, 7 years ago at just the karaoke outing and was kind of trying to get him to come with me to Barry and he didn't listen. But now I finally got him with me at Girls High. So I want to give them an opportunity to say hey before I do a brief overview.
Okay, since you're taking the shot at me, I guess I'll go first. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrew Walker. Um, as you all know, this is my very, very first year at Girls High, and I'm always, literally, it's my thing now to say it's my first year, and I love the fact that it really is like a sorority. I pride myself on being a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, 1906, and literally like all these meetings, the way that we talk to each other and treat each other, I see it on this level, and it's just amazing to see like wow, this is like a sisterhood like none other that I've never seen before. So before that, this is my fifth year as an assistant principal. And I was a teacher for 12 years at Joseph Pennell, which is located in Ogon San Pedro. So every morning I take my drive from Upper Darby / West Philly up to GHS, and it's just a nostalgic feeling because I really enjoyed being in the classroom, but it was time. Um, the well, one of Principal Argo's principal coaches was my principal, Jason Harris, and so he was our most recent fraternity chapter president as well. So it's just now is the time for everything to be aligned, and so that is why I am here at Girls High. So I believe in the steps being ordered of the Lord. So now's the time, no matter how hard Ms. Argo wanted me to join her. But again, she is literally a sweetheart. She goes really, really hard for the girls. Um, I want to say I was pretty popular before, but being a GHS admin now has really propelled my career, and personal life to another level. And I'm thankful for that. And yeah, I'm excited to do good work. I feel as if I now have been accepted by the young ladies. They're starting to say, "Okay, Mr. Walker, we see you," that kind of thing. So I know that's the high school way of saying, "All right, you with us? All right, let's go." So I'm excited, and thank you so much for just being so welcoming in everything you do. All right. I pass it to AP McClinton.
Thank you, AP Walker. I just wanted to say good afternoon to everyone. It's a pleasure to join you all today. It's been a pleasure working at Girls High. This is my second year there. As Principal Argo said, we met 10 years ago as assistant principal. So I really have seen her leadership take off from beginning to current. And I'm just excited to just support her vision, and having AP Walker join us has been nothing but a blessing. We've been able to you're welcome. We've been able to just do so much work together. This is my 10th year as an assistant principal, my 21st year in education. And I actually have some stakes in Girls High too. My great aunt went to Girls High. She was a part of class 188. And interestingly enough, I was supposed to go to Girls High, but my grandmother sent me to the Mount. And I really wish I had gone to Girls High. But I'm excited to be here and to join you all. And thank you for allowing me to.
Thank you. So I have like a few visuals and I'll briefly go through them about just the state of the school. So just to give you all a brief overview, when I walked into Girls High last summer of 2024, I had no idea of the state of the school. Meaning, if students are not in an environment that's conducive to learning, meaning a positive culture, there is no learning. And so, with all of the change of three principals in 3 years, the students lack trust of the institution at large. The staff members were just pointing fingers at everyone, and we pretty much walked into that. And so for me, I'm a very strong operational and instructional leader just because going through the principalship in my previous life, I was always at Acceleration Network schools, which means like they're lower achieving schools. And our job was to pretty much turn them around. We used to be called the Turnaround Network. And so we always have to figure out like what changes will we make that will have the largest impact for students. And when I walked into Girls High, one thing that Dr. Wallington charged me with was one, stopping you guys from calling him. So that happened. Number two was increasing the enrollment. So our enrollment was down for many reasons. Parents stopped sending their children to Girls High because we were on the news all the time. So parents don't like that. They see something negative about the school, they take their kid out. And lastly, parents weren't sending their kids because they really didn't know what Girls High was about anymore. Because academically, our scores have dramatically dropped, and it's reason for all of it. And culturally, if you're on the news or if the students are acting a particular way at Borton Island, then we weren't in the top choices anymore. And the school district also opened multiple smaller schools. So as the city got dangerous, the parents didn't really want their students to travel. And sometimes they still tell me that, but then they send their kid after we come. We tell the child, the parent comes to see, and then sometimes we win them over by that. And so the first document I'm going to show you is it's called um your school spotlight. And so our school spotlight is horrific to me. So I'm one of those people that I'm an over analytical thinker, and I always have to look at what the root cause is and who's a part of the root cause. And so last school year with student attendance, with the percentage that they give you, they go by 90% or better. And 90% is when you have less than 18 unexcused absences. So the problem is students can be absent, but if they don't break a note, then it's unexcused. At Girls High, we celebrate 95% and definitely 100%. This year, we'll be celebrating like more of 100% per month because it's only like 18 days in some months, 17 days in some months. And so over the years, the student attendance increased. But then we were incentivizing it. I do know during the year that I was there. So if you had something for the month, we gave you something. At every report card period, we took an attendance trip. So with my Limbach winnings, I won $20,000. We'll be using that money to do the same thing. So for the first market period, whatever the students decide, skate and movies, Dave and Buster, things are age appropriate for them because a lot of trips are not age appropriate for them. Teacher attendance, I never really care about, and I'll tell you why. Teacher attendance is not within my locus of control. Teachers have the right to receive FMLA, which is the Family Medical Leave Act. Um, and if teachers receive FMLA, they're allowed to be out, which impacts the attendance. So it's nothing you can really do if teachers have FMLA, or if you have a teacher that has a baby. We haven't had that last year. Or you have a teacher who has sick parents and they have FMLA because of that. So we can't control teacher attendance under any circumstance. Do we incentivize it? Yes. So I do something called like a will, and the teacher who had 100% or 95%, whatever the threshold is for that month, we give them $100 gift card if their name comes up on the will. So we do incentivize teacher attendance. But then when we look at our keystone, we took a dramatic drop. I'm gonna make that a little larger so you can see. And the drop is because the school district implemented a new curriculum and Girls High never used the curriculum. So we spent the whole year fighting, my assistant superintendent included, of with implementation of the new curriculum, if you should do it, if you shouldn't do it. So the teachers kind of lost sight of the bigger picture because they spent so much time being in con like contesting the fact that we had a new curriculum. And so the Keystone assessment, they assess ninth graders, who was just algebra one, ninth graders in biology, and then they assess 10th graders in English too. And what happens is if they don't pass, they get an opportunity to retake it, and you need a certain percentage of students to pass, and they call it best by 11. So that means, do you pass by 11th grade? The bigger picture with this number, with the best by 11, the school district systemically allows students to choose their graduation pathway. Pathway number one means you only graduate with the Keystone, but you also can choose pathway number five, where you kind of like take a certification test. And if you didn't pass your Keystone, you still graduate. So that directly impacts this number because if I'm a student and I didn't pass and I choose pathway five, I don't care about the Keystone. I'm not going to take it seriously. So that's another systemic issue where the Best by 11 was just implemented last school year with entirety. And if I'm a student and I already picked a pathway, it's nothing you could do to motivate me to um, take the test again. And so what we start doing to adhere to that this year is really displaying the students' data to them and the teachers. So when we go over the data, and I have another PowerPoint as well that I'm gonna briefly go over. When we go over the data with them, the teachers are less than acceptable to receiving it because they have this notion like we are girls high, and the we are girls high effect um like we're girls high, but I try to explain to them that we only as good as our numbers. So our numbers are our fact. So we have to get out our feelings and we really have to address what the data is saying about our students. So the beginning of the school year, we started off with really showing the students like where we were with different diagnostic testing and how we're viewed and how does that directly impact them when they're looking for scholarship and things like that. So it was an eye opening for students because they're still talking about it, but for the teachers, instead of receiving it and reflecting to move forward with a solution, they harbor in it and then they become accusatory to the students. And that sounds like Cathedral didn't turn that in. Markia wasn't paying attention. Instead of really looking at the data, seeing how you could intervene, pull those students in a small group to address that standard, and then move on. And so what we saw was an institution who really had lack of accountability when it comes to instructing students, speaking to students, how you treat students, and assist them with their growth and development. So we spent a whole school year trying to fix that culture of if they didn't do it, they fail. Like, what do we do in between that? Or if they just show up, they pass. This is something called the School Districts of Philadelphia Spotlight, and we get it every monthly data snapshot, and we get it every month, and it tells you specific things about the school. So if you look, this graph talks specifically about student attendance within September, 90 days or above, like where are we? So if you look at the gray line was the 23-24 school year when Dr. Butler was there. We exceeded September attendance when we were there last year. And now we're kind of like in the same area, maybe like point 0.2 below where we were last year. And so the goal is to increase it. So from 23 to 25, 26, we increase the 90% or better days. And this is 90% cumulative, meaning um, not just per month, but cumulative. And so the same thing, they were 77% 2 years ago. We increased it to 83.3, 83.3 but yeah, last year, and it's 84% this year. So student attendance is still on the up and up. Again, 90% or better for the month. I don't know how many days was in September because we didn't review it because we were on this tour. So sometimes the tour, we're not like, it's 22 days in September. That's what we would usually do. So that's where student attendance is. So they're showing up. And then it breaks it down by like grade. So we can see right now that the 10th graders, which was our last year, ninth graders, are falling behind of what they had the previous year. The circle is the previous year, and the bar is this school year. So every other grade is kind of has the same trend. So if we had to focus on a grade that attendance kind of slacked for the most of September, it would be 10th grade. So AP McClinton's in charge of 10th grade. So we've been sending out attendance documents, and she can wholeheartedly focus and follow up on that because our recruitment tour is over. Then they break it down by like race and ethnicity. And they also talk about the attendance versus the population as a subgroup. So if you look at it, it breaks it down to every subgroup. And if we had to focus on subgroups, we would look at students who are multiracial or students who are like white. Their attendance isn't as good. So then you have to kind of meet with those students to find out what's the root cause. Everyone else is over 80%, so we really wouldn't look at that to address it. And it breaks it up by special education students. We do have about 60 students who receive special education. They might not have severe disability, but they still receive accommodations in academics and or behavior. And this is for English language learners. We have like another about 50, 60 students that English is not their primary language. And if we had to break down attendance with them, it's talking about students who are formerly in English language learners, who are currently, or ones that should be in it, but they were never screened, meaning they could need support, but they never were screened. This is the teacher attendance. So as you can see, they were higher in 23-24. It was 97.7 in the month of September. This school year, they're at 92.3, and last school year, we were at 88.1. What I can say about the teacher attendance, I already have about 6 teachers who have FMLA. That means they can't have any discipline for attendance, and they can be out as many times as they want, which will directly impact the teacher attendance. And then this is the cumulative of the teacher attendance, same dance. Student dropout rates. It's not, it doesn't sound like the way it is. Student dropout rates are if students are enrolled in Girls High and they never show up, we have to find them. That's what dropout is for Girls High. The disconnect with the school district is if a student's enrolled at Girls High, if we don't have their information when their application rolls over for the next year, we can't find that kid. So last school year, there were 5 kids that we couldn't find. Those kids probably enrolled at Girls High and then moved out of the city, or we found them but never got confirmation from the school that their parents said they went to. In alignment with DHS, when students transfer, we have to get verbal as well as documentation from the school that they say they go to. So if they said Cathedral are going to Cheltenham High School, I have to call Cheltenham and verify that Cathedral's there. I can't just take the parents' word of mouth because the school district is a way that helps DHS in the census keep track of where children are. And so the schools work in alignment with that. So last year we couldn't find about 5 kids. Actually, it was more than that. It was like 13. But we worked all year to find them. So that's what the dropout rate means. It doesn't mean that kids just dropped out of school. It means something, it could, but in Girls High's story, it means that we couldn't find the kids. So these are students who have already been absent 18 or fewer days. So if you see the majority have 0 days, a few of them have one, but we really have to target the students. You see those little lines, that means like one student may have 18 days. So we address them through the truancy process. But if you could see, for the most part, most of the students come to school, and this has nothing to do with if the absence are excused or unexcused. It's just data of if the kids weren't there or not. So what we do is we have to physically, we have a tracker that we all use. When they're absent 3 days, we send home, it's called a 3-day letter. And once they get to 5 days, which some of them are at 5 days, we will be holding meetings with them and their parents. Because once they get to 7 days, they do something called the SATE process, which means they go to truancy court. And then truancy court can start a DHS process. So we like to meet with parents before we get to the SATE process. 0 out-of-school suspensions. We did have 2 suspensions this year, for 2 students who had like reoccurring like drama, Instagram drama that translated into a fight. And so we usually don't suspend kids for fighting because in the code of conduct, we don't have that many fights at Girls High under my tenure, but if they do decide to fight, this particular 2 students were warrant for other things, so it was like a follow through. So after like really looking at it, if their behaviors continue, then it may be time for them to exit the Philadelphia High School for Girls. It might not be the place for them. So sometimes you'll look at a different discipline for them in alignment with the code of conduct. But sometimes if the students are just those type of students that's always in something and you know it's going to continue no matter what intervention you put in place, then you might as well start the process. And these 2 students pretty much left school, went to another school to fight kids at their old school. And like we're responsible for kids until they get home. And it was carried, like it just kept carrying on. And I feel like when we tried to partner with the parents, they were kind of like co-signing the behavior. So in that respect, we were just like, okay, we need to start our process because we tried to intervene. And if this continues, we had already started our process. So that's why we have a 99.7. We did have to suspend 2 students, unfortunately. And then it talks about like what is it for? If you see it says mutual fight, and that's the reason. But as the year goes by, you have more suspensions. It has different blocks, and it tells you like the why behind it. And then they were 2 African American young ladies, so it gives you the data. So that's why the data looks like that right now because it's not that many in this area. And did they have IEP or didn't it? So it looks like one did and one didn't, just by looking at this data. Serious incidents can be anything. Serious incident can be like we just had to do a serious incident because there was a male outside touching himself, and the student saw that at B&O. So that's a serious incident. We had another incident where one of our students maced a man under the sub. That's a serious incident. So anything that is deemed serious, we have to investigate it. That's just school district protocol. So we have to turn it in as a serious incident. It doesn't really impact the school. It's just you're reporting what happened at the time. So we've had 6 serious incidents in different areas or different things. This is the baseline shows you pretty much like where you are. Are you strategically in intervention? Are you intensively in intervention? Are you on watch or are you proficient? What we found is that students don't take the test seriously. When we walked into class, school year, teachers were given the test as an assignment, star times. That is not the way the star is supposed to be administered. No matter how many times we redirected staff, they didn't really see the importance because they're not a data driven school. Teachers kind of just did what they wanted to do, and nobody really looked at the data behind, like the impact for students, the impact for the overall girls' high data. So this school year, we had students score way lower in STAR. Assistant Principal Walker went and looked at the students who potentially should have been proficient, but we could tell that they guessed or they ran through the test and didn't take it seriously. He recalled some of them back in the area of math, which made our proficiency go up. If you see the right hand side from 43.1, it went up 7.5 from last fall. And the reading, he didn't do the same because we didn't get to it. So the reading was just like the raw data of what it was. So it looks like the proficiency from fall to fall went down 1.6%. I don't think this data is true of our gazelles. I think they just don't take it seriously. So hopefully by the time we take it in winter, when we have these courageous data meetings with the students and they understand that their profile is their brand and their profile represents them, they will take the test more serious. But it also starts intrinsically and internally with the staff. The staff have to see the importance and motivate their gazelles to do well as well. So if I'm your math teacher and you're taking a star, I should bring out the pom poms and tell you that you need to represent yourself, because if you represent yourself, you represent me as being a teacher. But since Girls High, we're having to shift to be data driven and responding to what the data says, which have always been happening. It takes more time out of the overall ending result, which is the gazelle. This pretty much just talks about participation. We always have to have 90% or more students participate. And we did just that. These pretty much are just graphs to pretty much show like where we are in reference to the data. So, oh, I'm sorry, I must have clicked it off. Can you still see it? Do you guys still see it?
No,
No.
we see your home screen.
We just see a home screen.
Okay, let me see what happened. Okay, I'm seeing desktop. uh, you can see it about 24 to 4 20 to 25, 26, and it shows like fall to fall. So if you see the red, that means 12.2% of the students were intensive, which means we didn't intervene. 12.2% of our students is probably about like 70 kids. 75 kids. And now this year is 13%. So it could be a little larger. The orange students is about 20%. If you see on watch, it's about 20%. And then advanced or proficiency are in the 40s. If you see on the math side, it went up. If you see on the reading side, it went down a couple percentage points. And so for the students in the red, the goal is to intervene, put them in small group, look at what standards they don't know, and kind of focus on that. The orange, you can look at what students are closer to being in blue. And then like the dark blue is really green for us. Like what students are really in that area. Like can we have to maintain them in that area, especially if they're ninth graders and we're looking at them taking a biology and algebra on Keystone. And if they're 10th graders in English and are we looking at them taking those particular things. And so that's just a different grade. And these are like the performance details. So it tells you like how many students and per grade were in that area. So if you look, we have 25 seniors who are red. That means they're extremely below grade level and they're about to graduate college. So when you think about that, will these students place in college credit classes or will they be in remedial classes for the students who are in this area of 25 and 29 in the strategic? That's a problem. So as 12th grade teachers, they really have to intervene with these students to bump up their skills so they can be self-sufficient citizens. There's no way they're going to be able to operate in society or continue education at these levels or even pass common um, tests to be correctional officers, police officers, or any of those things. So we have to look at that. And that's what we'll be doing this school year. 11th grade is about 19 of them that's concerning. 10th grade, if you look at the 47 of them. And 11th grade, ninth grade is 671 of them. And so when you think about the ninth graders, in order to get into Girls High, you have to have 90% or better attendance, 100% Being the 50th percentile in English or math, meaning the 50th percentile is basically high basic. So students that are coming into Girls High currently in the last year, they're high basic. So the year that I got there and this school year of the students who just came in, the requirements changed. So that is going to have a direct impact to our data, and our requirements changed because we were no longer seen as a tier 2 school to get kids in a 65th percentile. So when Dr. Butler was principal and they went to meetings to come up with Girls High criteria was lowered because the students weren't performing in a way that would still allow us to be in the 65th percentile in or math and reading. So now our requirements went down to math or reading, which means we could get a student that is doing well in math and horrible in reading, or a student that's doing really good in reading and horrible in math. So that will directly impact the students that we receive who are eligible to get in for some time now. So that means as administrators and teachers, we have our work cut out for us. And the same thing, they break it up with like what nationality, ethnicity the students are, and they do it by SPED, and that's the same thing they do for all the data, ELL, and then winter when we get the results, we'll be able to look at the results and do the same thing in math, SPED, and English. But I was just trying to give you an overview of like what that looks like and why the school districts, our requirements are directly impacting our data, but we can't ask for our entry requirements to be higher until the students start performing. But it's not just a student problem. Overall, when students could come in at zero, the school district just wants to see them grow. So did you grow from 0 to 20? Did you grow from 20 to 40? But it's a mindset shift with the staff at the Philadelphia High School for Girls, because when I put data in front of them, they are so mad at me. They are so like pee off at me. And my point to them is it's facts over feelings. The facts are this is the data. This is how we view. How you feel about that doesn't even matter. I'm a Girls High girl. I have a lot of feelings. However, we have to do better, meet kids where they are to help them grow, because this is where we are. This is the state of the school. So if we want to be seen like elite to compare, we can't compete right now because we're at 50%. But if we want to compare and compete, and we want to get back with the schools that are the Palumbos who are 19th in the state, and the engineerings who were never were, because we were there too. We have to do specific things and meet students what they are. And then it's kind of like the fight of our tradition and legacy as well. It's a big fight to respect the tradition and legacy. And so I can see how when I return, some of the tradition and legacy events did not look or mirror what you remember as a Girls High girl. And I remember last year crying almost all the time, like, this is horrible. Like, what happened? Like, systemically, like, what happened to all of the things that we used to do that was free? So, like, how we approach Big Sister, Little Sister Day, how we approach contests, how we approach pep rallies, how we approach songs of the season. So as a new principal, you observe everything. You're just like, oh, you hope the team puts it together. And then when you see it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not how I remember it. I do understand that it's 2025, but just the execution of it had no love or respect for the traditional legacy. And so at the end of last school year, I really had a candid conversation with the staff and saying, a lot of you been here and that's valued, but you can't stay at the Philadelphia High School for Girls if you don't respect the traditional legacy that's been going on for 177 years of it, and also meet your SDP requirements. So that's what happens at Girls High. We're traditional legacy, and we have to do what SDP bestows upon us. We don't decide to neglect either or, because that is what Girls High is. And so I think as time goes by, teachers either make an informed decision of, like, I've been in education too long, I need to retire because I'm not doing all this, or I need to go to a different location because, like, under my leadership, I feel strongly about students growing, having a cultural warm and joy within the school community, and uplifting tradition. There's no negotiation for that with me. And so this year we had a wonderful big sister and little sister reception. We bought them keychains to exchange just if they didn't have gifts, because some people probably can't afford gifts. So we thought about that and we bought keychains for them to give to each other. Once that big sister, once that little sister. We ordered food. We had table linen to kind of show like this is what we do. And the students really could appreciate it. And the older students were like, we never got that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but this is the way and the importance that we should make it. We're mirror at least a half or 75% of what I saw. I do know some of you may have saw that I had to postpone senior day or heard about it. Senior day was postponed. It wasn't canceled, but it was postponed. Our sister, Catherine Gilmore Richardson, brought the voter commissioner daily to Girls High to teach our 12th graders about voting, and they showed their behinds. I was not present. I was recruiting, and Catherine Gilmore called me and said that they were drinking, they were talking in the auditorium, they were on their phones. She redirected them, they didn't adhere. So this group of students in 12th grade are a little challenging because they're the group that had the three principals. So they had a principal in ninth grade, they had a principal in 10th grade, they had a principal in 11th grade. So they're a little like push, they push back a little. So she called me, she was very upset. Catherine Gilmore saves our school with her influence. Every time we were losing 7 staff members, she got all 7 back for me. 8 to be exact. 6 teachers and 2 step positions with her influence from city council. She was in tears almost when she called me. And we had the voter commissioner at the school, which doesn't help with carrying a positive reputation when you act that way. And so even when I met with the group of the students yesterday to unpack it, they still couldn't understand or take ownership. They were deflecting. They were like, this is how we are. Y'all need to understand that. And I'm like, no. When somebody comes to talk to you, whether you care about what they're talking about or not, you're quiet and you're respectful. And so I even aligned it to being an adult. You know how many professional developments or meetings I could care less about, but I'm there and I'm attentive and I'm quiet. And so that's what you do. And then they kind of said they felt like we as big sisters try to hold them to what we used to do. And I said, no, nobody's trying to hold you to what we used to do. But we do have, as they say, a girl's high swagger. Like if you're a girl's high girl, you know. So you don't act a particular way. You just don't do that, or this isn't the place for you. So you guys, once again, didn't represent the school well in front of Philadelphia's voter commissioner and your big sister who fights for you. And so that night, I just told the parents and I told the students that it'll be postponed. And they was like, when's the date? And honestly, the date will be when they get their life together. And so I'm going to have a town hall with them. We're going to unpack it all. We're going to show them their data some more in hopes that they turn the corner and they can have their day back. So they had senior day postponed because of that. So I know a lot of people had questions about it. And the alum were so gracious to write a letter to their little sisters to just encourage them about like just being a girls' high student and making the right choices. Because in that moment, we don't have cell phones in school. We don't want to see them. You can have them out at lunch. If I go in the classroom and I don't see them, why would you bring them in an auditorium? Or I had like the class president say to me she didn't know they couldn't drink in the auditorium. You could never drink or eat in the auditorium. We don't allow that. So that happened. And so the only time that parents kind of eat in there is if we're having something and we're running out of space. There's nowhere for them to go, or it's a show and the school is selling snacks. I can't say, come see the show, get popcorn, but you can't eat your popcorn. You know what I mean? So we do, as shows, allow parents to do it, and then the custodial crew cleans up right after. But as far as students, they have never, ever, 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 ever seen adults or anybody else eating or drinking in the auditorium. So that was unacceptable. So their parents are a little, they done sent the letter every way they could, but I'm standing firm on we don't do that. You get your life together and then we'll move on. If you don't, then we could keep having these conversations. Then they also pushed back and said they weren't going to perform for open house because they didn't have senior day. And I told them we have a winter show that Girls High pays for. So then it won't be a winter dance show if you don't want to perform to get kids in the school. You guys can't bully me. This won't work out for you. And so, they were there and they danced. Well, thank you. And then we had a meeting. So you can't, and I tried to explain to the teacher who leads them in the humanities program, it's hard to fight for the arts at a time where it's no budget. And I say to them, like, we kept the arts program because at Girls High, our visual arts has always been good, and our instrumental treble clef has always been key. We can't cut that. But Girls High has added dance, which the kids really love. And so I fought to keep that. So you're not going to tell me that you won't perform in a program that we fought to keep that we always have to pay something for. We have to pay to get your costumes clean. We got to buy costumes. We have to pay to keep the building open. We have to pay choreographers to come in for your show. So we're investing all this money. You're in the class. If you're in the class, every time 440 calls, you're going to tap dance, kickball change, Palabu rag, shots that you're going to do it because we pay for it. And so I had to explain that to him, like, you don't have a choice. This is your class. So your class performs. So like the instrumental students didn't have a problem with it. They understood that they sing and perform. But those dancers, they thought they were doing me a favor by dancing. And I'm like, nope. It's a part of your elective. The school invests money in it. You're going to dance every time they call. So Arlene Ackerman will have her dedication to the building and they need dancers. You'll be there. That's the way it works. And they're like, oh, well, don't be in dance class if you don't want to perform. Because if you're in dance class, you're performing. So we unpacked that with them for like 2 hours. And then some of the seniors didn't come to school because they thought they were rebelling. But I'll see them next week and we're still gonna have a town hall. We're gonna address those behaviors. So that's pretty much the state of the school. If anybody has any questions, feel free. I know it was kind of long, but Miss Marcia asked me to be thorough. So I wanted to just give you an overview of where we were.
Well, Principal Argro, I really appreciate your giving us this information because we have to understand where Girls High is in 2025 if we can really be of help to the school because it's obvious it's not Girls High of 1969 or 1979 or 1999. And so I appreciate you giving us this understanding because we see a lot of things in the news and you hear, but we don't really, no one really explains all those numbers. They just say, this is it. And then everyone's left to come to their misconclusion. So thank you.
Anytime.
Principal Argro, you hear it from me all the time. I look at you and I call you Vice Principal McClinton and Vice Principal Walker the dream team. And it is a dream to work with you. This is me personally, and I'm asking again, how can we as alum support you? What do you need from us? It's wonderful that we can open the library. We do that. We have the manpower and support. Our mentorship program is rolling along nicely. But what other kind of support do you need from the Alumni Association?
So I think we'll have a better answer after we really sit down and look at like our plan for next steps, Miss Marsha. I think because we've been recruiting, recruitment starts August 25th to October 23rd, and we're almost done. So once we're done recruitment, we can really sit down and like pick apart like what should be the priority, like meaning like what is going to give us the highest leverage of impact when we look at all of these data sets because you can't do everything. You have to pick a few things and then create an action plan and do it well. So what will give us the most impact? And then we'll probably be able to answer that. So like some of the things financially, remember last school year, AP Walker, I want to throw shade, but he was supposed to come to us last year. So last school year, we could use the funding for him. And this school year, we have some funding from We Win in Limbach. So we could kind of use that for like incentives and stuff like that. So once we look at the data, we could pretty much tell you. But I think one thing we could tell our sisters is to stop being a part of the problem. And I think some of our sisters, they always respond to like anything that's posted with negativity. And so I think when they do that, they carry on the negative narrative. So instead of finding out what happened and how they can help to move forward, they meet with, well, when I went there, X, Y, and Z, or what the girls, they shouldn't, they know better. Like, no, 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 no. You have to really find out what's happening and not give suggestions of what we're already doing because you're not really paying attention, or say that you didn't see something or you didn't read something and then you go for an attack. Like you can't attack me because I'm going to respond. Like don't do that. At the end of the day, it's 2025. They don't have a uniform. If we give a uniform, we won't be able to compete. Central doesn't have a uniform. Engineering and science wears a shirt. Palumbo wears a shirt if they want to. Parkway Center City wears none. So you have to think about the type of kids you want. Like you want those kids. They'll not they'll say things like, "Oh, when we went there, we couldn't do blah 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 blah," or "You guys should." And it's like, no, no, no. Find out what's happening. The school district has we have a gazelle now because we couldn't compete in PIAA. Do we are the tree is the tree of life all over the school? Yes. I'm a treer. I wasn't a gazeller. I'm a treer, but we're gazelles now. The tree is all over the school. I did some branding with the school. The tree is all over the school. Um, However, our sports competition teams are gazelles. They had to be an animal. The students picked the gazelle before my tenure. I just uplift the gazelle because we do have students who identify by different pronouns. And it's easier for me to just call them gazelles because I can't keep up with that. I can't remember one day to the next if you want to be he or she because they're fluid and they change every day. One day you tell me this your name, the next day you tell me this your name. So I just call everybody gazelle. Some I could talk to their parents about it, some I can't. So in policy 252, for me to stay clear of that, everybody's a gazelle. And the students know that because I can't keep up with my little girlfriends at school because they'll tell me one story one day and then they change their mind the next. Love them to death, but they change because they do what they want. And then we are the Gazelles because of that. Do we still have mascots? Every class grade still has their mascot. They come in at Tweety and then they pick somebody and then they stay to 12th grade for those of you who were there during that time. We still do that as well. So none of the traditions, hardcore tree of life have changed. But when you think about the basketball team, the field hockey team, they're the Gazelles. And so every time we post a gazelle, it's like, what is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? It's like, they're the gazelles. Don't attack it. It's where we are right now. Or if you didn't see something, it's like, I didn't see this. And then here come the negativity. It's like, girls, we have to stop. We got to stop because we're the adults. If you want to have that, we got an inbox. Send me a message. If you want it, send Miss Marsha a message. You could send messages on Facebook, Instagram. If you think your stuff, your attitude is going to be nasty, don't put it on the page because you're showing at 60, 70, 56, 70, 80, 90 years old, you're showing a nasty attitude and you're not being a good example for the girls behind you either. So it's like the girls feel like everything that they're doing is being attacked by their big sisters. They told us that yesterday. Me and AP McClinton was like, ugh, because they can see it and read it. It's public. So we have to be very like mindful of attacking the girls hot girl of today. So I think if we keep that message going, then they can learn to have some better word choice or send me an inbox when you want to deflect or argue. I'm all for a professional grown up argument, but don't put that on the page, So, like, I usually answer them and I'll tell them I'm gonna block you and I'm gonna erase you if you keep writing that. But they have to stop. The school's moved on. We're the tree. Yes, I would never let somebody disrespect the foundation of the Philadelphia High School for Girls. I wouldn't even let that happen. I'm a girl's high girl. It's unacceptable. We're the tree of life, but we also like with on our sweaters, we started embracing the because I made varsity jackets. Varsity jackets are about sports. So we try to embrace the gazelle. But we do, I have sweaters with the tree. I make shirts with the tree. We're the tree. We didn't leave the tree. We're never leaving the 1848 tree. Never. So, yeah, that's one thing they can do is like stop being negative, narrate the positive. And if you want to argue, just send it an inbox.
Principal Argro, thank you for that because I constantly try to moderate the conversations that are on social media because it comes from alum who are uninformed and want to revisit a girls' high that existed for them 50 years ago. And my whole being vibrates when I hear that because you're not staying informed. We are doing our due diligence in sending out current information. It is incumbent upon you to read it. As I say, reading is fundamental, but comprehension is critical.
I'm going to make sure I'm muted. Hang on.
Ladies, anyone else have any other questions, comments for our beloved principal? If not, I want to thank you, Principal Argro, for taking the time out, not just today, but for always showing up. I don't try to hide it. I'm a big fangirl of Principal Argro and what she is doing, what she's done, and what she will continue to do. Um, I I personally have made no secret that having a girls' high girl as a principal makes all the difference in the world. We see this. We have seen it in the past, and not every girls' high girl as a principal has made this kind of a difference because we've had girls' high girls as principals who have not always been the right principal. This is the right principal. And not just the right principal for this time and for these girls. The way the girls react to Principal Argo is amazing. And to Assistant Principal McClinton. And uh it's amazing. And again, and it's so, not to take anything away, for AP McClinton to have gone to an all girls school herself, that also actually makes a big difference. She understands what it means to be at an all girls school. Like that's huge. So having them running our school is such a blessing and such a makes such a difference. And so we are lucky, we are really blessed at this critical moment in time. And we'll talk a little bit more about, where we are and what's going on. So thank you, Principal Argro, for that. And we're now going to transition into our vision for 2026. And really making sure that our members understand that we don't talk about our vision in a vacuum. Our vision is absolutely what we believe is in lockstep with what Principal Argo and her team's vision is for the school. We don't do anything without consulting with them, right? Because we work with and for them, right? The Alumni Association doesn't do anything rogue. We're not like, oh, we're just going to run with it. No, we work closely in partnership with the administration at the school. So with that in mind, I would like to introduce one of our newer board members, and she is fantastic, as are all of our board members, Dr. Tanya O'Neill, who is going to share the components of our vision for 2026. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. O'Neill. I'm going to share the screen while Dr. O'Neill is presenting, and she's going to go ahead. So please, Dr. O'Neill, take it away.
Thank you, Madam President, and shout out 227, class of 1983. I'm so excited and honored to be here. First of all, I wanted to say I'm truly excited to have Principal Argro at the helm, and just a heartfelt thank you to you and to AP McClinton and Walker on just, providing the structure that our young ladies need, and also holding them accountable, right? As we get ready to send them out into the world. There are a couple of things that I actually jotted down that I think are in lockstep with this membership overview. The overview of our vision for 2026. I wrote down that Principal Argro said, "We're only as good as our numbers." And then she also talked about taking our brand seriously. And I think that's something that we could all think about as I just do a quick summary
of our vision for 2026. So I just want to start out with our specifically the goal, as you can see on the screen there, the goal, and you all can play a extremely important role in helping us reach this goal. All we want to do is increase our membership of the Alumni Association by at least 4%. I think we can do it. It's doable. We have over 23,000 graduates, and all we're asking for is if we can get 1,000 more to join the Alumni Association, right? Um, and we want to just not only, of course, get your dues. We need the dues, but we also want you just to be a part of the brand that we're continuing to perpetuate, right? So the good news is any alumni can participate in our alumni activities, attend our meetings. But if you want to have the power to vote, we need you to be a dues paying member, right? So we're very intentional about making sure that there aren't any barriers to participate in the Alumni Association and the activities and to be engaged. But you all know it takes money. It takes money. It takes money in order to make sure that we stay operating, that we can still, that Principal Argro can provide these special programs, and that we also have programs for our members and all of the initiatives that are in place to continue to keep our alma mater moving forward. And so, I don't have to tell you all that there is power in numbers as well as power in money, right? And so we need to increase this membership so that we can make sure that we're strong, that we have the volunteers, we have the mentoring networks that we need in order to continue to move forward this next generation of our Girls High women. Moving on to development. Again, I can't talk about money enough because it's the lifeblood, right? If we're excited that we get an opportunity to support our seniors as they're graduating each year with our scholarships. But we also know that we need more than that, that they're more than just seniors, right? Walking the halls of Girls High who also need things as well. And we need to be there to support them. And so we're asking that, yes, you to choose the causes that are most meaningful to you, but also understand that we need funds and as much as possible, volunteers, right, to help us so that we can be as flexible as possible and address as many needs as possible and continue to invest in things that push forward the Girls High tradition. So, one of our new initiatives, the Adopt a School program, and this was direct response to reunion classes that said, how can we make sure that we're giving back in a way that is meaningful, that is purposeful, and that will last? So an example of that, the class of 218, they celebrated their 50th reunion last year, and they chose to focus on a gift where they felt it would have the most immediate impact on current students. And again, we love the scholarship opportunities that we have, but we also need to understand that there are young women who are still coming through that also need to be supported. Um, so the Adopt a School program, it's not in competition with the capital campaign, but it's a complement to it. And it's simply offering all of us another way to make a difference while continuing to invest in our long-term goals. So we like to think of this, as you see on the screen, it's not an either or, it's a both and, right? Because together we can continue to make sure that Girls High is at the top where it should always be, right? And we have to do that by meeting those immediate needs, but also making sure that we're investing in the future. So if you're following Girls High on social media, uh, as Principal Argro mentioned earlier, her recruitment world tour, she has kudos to her. I just want to gotta give a hand clap for that. How she has really stepped up, she and her team, increasing the enrollment. And we've seen how that finally we're in the right direction. We're moving in the right direction again with enrollment. And here's the thing, Principal Argro is one person. Our VPs, they're only two. They're a mighty team of three. They can't do it by themselves. We are the best ambassadors for our school, whether you are in Hawaii, Alaska, or down the street at Broad, Wyoming, wherever you are. We are the best ambassadors for our school. And so, our call to action for you, please join the recruitment efforts, join the donation efforts, share with others who weren't able to make it to this meeting. But that's the other thing. Every single one of you here probably represents, I don't know how many people that you probably keep in touch with, that you went to school with. Go back and talk about what you've heard here today, right? I saw someone in the chat say, wow, I had no idea. Right. So we need you to get the word out, help us to meet that goal of 4%, help us to exceed that goal of 4%. So we hope that you will answer this call. Our position that we continue to attack, empower, race to come. And so I thank you. And that's my time.
Thank you so much, Tanya. It's so funny. As Tanya was talking, I literally I had text chain with five, five of my best friends who were from 234. And I was like, y'all are so trifling. Y'all not on this call. You were making me look bad. Like I'm the president. How dare y'all not be on it? They were like, I'm in a soccer match. I'm like, you're making me look bad. I said, okay, so now y'all all have to donate. I said, I want y'all all to donate right now, or else I'm going to haunt you in your dreams, right? So, and like Tanya said, like we all probably have our best friends, our best girlfriend. My little sister who just left, she was watching my little one, and I was like, you're not here. Like you're making me look bad. Donate some money or else I'm going to fight you, right? So we all keep in touch with our friends, our girls, our little sisters, our big sisters, our cousins, our best friends that went to school. Everybody on here, I bet y'all could name just in your right now, you could name 10 people who are not on this call who you could just be like, donate some money or volunteer or do that. This is how we can make our vision come true. This is, again, it's time, talent, treasure. We say this all the time. It doesn't always have to be money. Money's great. Don't get me started. Money's perfect. Because there are some people who are like, I don't have time. I have a gazillion things going on. Checks are beautiful. And first of all, that also ages us, right? Because when we say check, nobody does checks anymore. Venmo's beautiful. Cash App's beautiful, right? If you and maybe money's tight. Your time is wonderful. Volunteering is wonderful. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. We've got our volunteer chair here. We've got our mentorship chair here. Talent is great if you have the talent again for mentorship to do things that we have in our alumni base. The amount of talent we have, the amount of treasure we have. I and this may sound like arrogant, exceeds any other school in the city, hands down. I don't care. I'm talking about. I went to Masterman. It exceeds Masterman. You got me? It exceeds Central. It exceeds I promise you, it exceeds every high school in this city. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. I know this for a fact. If we ran the data, I promise you, we exceed every high school in this city. We could lead this city, right? In every category if we just galvanized our troops. And it's just the power of the numbers. Like Tanya said, it's power in numbers. This is all we need. Um, so with that in mind, the last thing that we want to kind of do to talk about is the future and sustainability of our school.
Hi, I had my hand up. I just had one
Oh,
thing.
I'm sorry. Yes, please, Principal.
I'm sorry. I think just by looking and the women who reach out, whether they're in state or out, I kind of like looked at some of the data of like just keeping track of like who's contacted me. And I think from a 240 and up, that's where you lose alum, participation.
Mhm.
So 240 and up, including my class, 240 and up. So I think when we think about like classes to target, we need to find probably like representatives from like each class, like a few of the popular people, whoever people still talk to the people, so they can organize their troop. Like I met a lot of students in the 250s too, and they reach out a lot, or we meet them a lot in isolation. But if they could come together, like the 250 to 259, I meet so many of them like in the world as I'm moving along. But then at 240 to 250, they're kind of absent. It's like they fell off the face of the earth.
Mhm.
So it's like those classes 240 and up, as you say, the future, it won't be no future if
Yeah.
they don't step up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And it could be a generational thing, like, and and thank you for saying that. And we definitely have been trying to figure out, one of the things, and we'll maybe talk about a little bit in the how to get engaged part. We've explored things like getting class reps, right? To figure out how to do that. Because what we do know is that on social media, a lot of classes, even at 240s and up, have very vibrant
Yeah.
Facebook pages, right? Where they're engaged with each other, but maybe not necessarily with the Alumni Association, right? And so, um, and don't necessarily know how to get engaged with the Alumni Association. So we're trying to figure out what's that in between. How do we make that connection? Yeah, they're engaged what is that connection? How do we make that middle things? So yes, you are absolutely correct. So we want to figure that out. Because the love is there. We know that. That's a given, right? We know that. So it's like, how do we do that? How do we get folks connected? And so and you know what? That's also a talent. If we can find some sisters who are like, I'm a connector. That's a talent we need. Let us know. Let us know how to do that. Let us know how you can help us engage those classes. Let us know, how we do that. So yes, please, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, so what I wanted to do now is talk a little bit about you know, years ago, less than a few years ago. There was some issues around like what was the future of Girls High. We have every couple of years things happen where we rumors go around, oh, Girls High's on the chopping block. Girls High may get closed. Girls High is getting merged. We hear these things. Most of the time, nothing happens. It goes away. Then we hear, Girls High's losing faculty. Things the last thing that happened was around, potentially Girls High losing faculty. Um, Girls High, we heard whispers around things. Um, and then we were able to galvanize the troops. There were, people went to testify at the board meetings, and uh, the superintendent and his folks realized that Girls High girls, you don't play with us. You don't mess with us when it comes to our alma mater. And being that he is not a Philadelphian, I think that he did not realize the power of Girls High girls. And he um, found out very quickly. And so, that being said, and this is all in the annual report that will be distributed, and you'll see all of this. But there recently has been some scenarios have been floating around about the future of the Philadelphia High School for Girls when it comes to the School District of Philadelphia and the facilities planning process. So just a little bit of background. And again, this is all in the annual report, so you'll see all of this. But the building that we occupy right now has been we've been occupying it since 1958 at Broad and Olney, and we know that it has been a beacon of excellence academically and has this historic legacy. However, it is an aging building. The infrastructure is aging. We've had a variety of evolving economic, educational demands. The landscape around the building has changed, And the School District of Philadelphia has reevaluated the long term future of the building. And so they've created this matrix, not just for Girls High, but for a number of school district buildings across the city. And they've evaluated a number of factors, including the utilization of the building, the safety of the area, the resources that would be required to remediate and upgrade the facilities. And because of the scores that Girls High received, there's a uncertain outlook. And so there are some potential scenarios for the moving forward for the path of our school. I want to reiterate, these are potential paths. We have not heard anything. We will not know anything until the earliest December of what may happen. Nothing may happen. Okay, and we may not hear anything. Business may go on as usual. And the reason why we not hear anything is specifically because of the efforts of Principal Argro, specifically because last year she increased the enrollment significantly because of her and her administration and what they did when they did this tour of the middle schools in the area and how much work that she and her folks put in to doing the recruitment and how she increased enrollment and how she's doing the recruitment again. Her and her folks are doing the recruitment again this year. And by if history repeats itself, then she will most likely increase recruitment again this year. And so if that happens, then most likely, then we're hoping that nothing will happen and that again they will leave us alone and they will trust that this that that the administration at the school right now is doing what they promised to do, and that is turn around the school and increase the enrollments. So hopefully nothing will happen and we won't have to do anything. However, there are some potential scenarios um, for what may happen with the campus of Girls High. And so we at the Alumni Association would like, we operate under the if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready model. Because what we don't want to do is December to come, an announcement be made, and we're like, oh my gosh, we weren't prepared. We want our alumni to know and be prepared in case we need to go down and raise hell, um, for lack of better words, but to actually to advocate for our school. So, um, the Alumni Association wants to be prepared to respond and mobilize support should the School District of Philadelphia announce plans for potential closure, relocation, or redevelopment of our alma mater. So these are potential scenarios for what could happen. The first is repurpose, relocation, and closure. So here's the explanation from the School District of Philadelphia that the building will remain in operation. However, one or more of the academic programs may close or relocate, and the facility or a portion of the facility could be used for another community purpose. For example, pre-K programming or workspace for external partners or a swing space. So in this scenario, the Philadelphia High School for Girls could relocate to a new facility designed to meet 21st century educational standards. So the question would be, what position would the Alumni Association take if the school would relocate to a different campus elsewhere in Philadelphia? So the considerations would be, will the new facility include state-of-the-art laboratories, arts and athletic facilities, and a functioning library? How will the school community, students, alumni, and staff participate in preserving our history, including the relocation of our newly renovated Marilyn Newby Cooper Archive Center? And because the fact that we invested $10,000 into the archive room, how would that be protected? The extreme outcome, of course, would be the closure. Um, and the implications of this would be a loss um, of the Broad building as an educational site and the emotional impact on the current students and the alumni, challenges in preserving the school's historic identity and continuity, and logistical complexities of relocating students, faculty, and historic materials. So that's if there was repurpose, relocation, or closure. Another scenario would be modernization of the school, restoration of restore, restoration, excuse me, of the school. I'm saying all of this again, you will get a written explanation of all this. This is for informational purposes only, for you all to know this and you all to share with your classmates. The explanation from the School District of Philadelphia is that the site would undergo new construction, physical rebuilding, or renovation to improve safety and accessibility and to ensure it meets environmental and modern technology standards. The overview would be in this approach, Girls High would remain at Broad Olney while undergoing a comprehensive restoration and modernization. The goal would be to preserve the building's architectural integrity while upgrading it to meet current educational and safety standards. Key question for us would be what position would the Alumni Association take if Girls High will be renovated and requires a temporary relocation to a different campus elsewhere in Philadelphia? Considerations to take in mind would be this option would obviously require temporary relocation of students during the renovation period. What would that look like? Determination of which structural repairs would be prioritized. Needed upgrades include laboratories, restrooms, doors, library, classrooms, and of course, ADA accessibility improvements. And a very important question is should the Alumni Capital Campaign, originally intended to restore the library, be expanded or redirected to support additional upgrades? That, of course, is a very important question because once we start a campaign where we tell donors that money is going towards a specific cause, i.e., the library, how then do we approach what are the protocols? Because we are financial stewards. What for that the library that is not may not be happening because a total restructuring is going on. So then what do we say to those donors about the monies that they've already donated? The implications for this, of course, are that significant costs and logistical challenges will happen during renovations and potential disruptions to daily operations. The potential outcomes of this, of course, are that we could preserve, it would preserve Girls High's historical legacy and continuity of place, and there could be strengthened alumni engagement through a shared stewardship of a cherished landmark. So that's scenario two. A third scenario would be a co-location of a hybrid educational campus. The explanation from the school district being multiple distinct academic programs operating within a single building. So the overview of this is that this model envisions Girls High remaining at Rodney, but transforming into a shared use, dual purpose facility. So the school will retain part of the building for academic operations, while other sections would be repurposed for community or institutional partnerships. The site would become both a high school and a broader educational resource hub. The key question for us would be what position will the Alumni Association take if Girls High becomes a hybrid campus sharing its space with another institution? Considerations would be how would space be allocated to preserve Girls High's identity and independence with a shared use framework? What partnerships would best align with the school's mission and legacy? How will safety, scheduling, and security be managed in a mixed use environment? The implications, of course, are a risk of diluted institutional identity. So those are three scenarios. Please understand that these are all things that we, again, are considering. This is not anything done in a vacuum. Anything that is considered, we would be in partnership with Principal Argro. There are no decisions to be made because we don't make decisions on behalf of the school. What we do is we work in partnership to support Principal Argro with whatever decisions she makes, whichever direction she decides to go in, we then support her. Okay. But basically, each scenario presents a distinct vision for the school. And whether it's relocation, reinvestment, or reimagination, the school district's decision must balance respect for our historical legacy with the need to deliver a world-class education for our girls for generations to come. So the Alumni Association remains steadfast in its commitment to the sustainability of our alma mater at all costs. its legacy, its community, and its enduring spirit of scholarship, sisterhood, and service. So, again, this is for informational purposes to let you know that there's a potential for something happening. We don't control the school district. We can influence the school district, but whatever we do, it's in partnership with our principal. She is the lead. She is the head of our school. She makes all of the final decisions for our school. We support her. We back her. And it is our goal. We know that her decision and what she does is in the best interest of the school. What the Alumni Association is here for is to support that, and to be a thought partner with her. Um, but we can galvanize troops. We can, um, those 20,000 plus members, we can go to them and say, hey, we need to rally our troops. We need to, if we need to fight, we need to fight. And we are ready. We need to be ready, able, and willing to do that. So I'm going to leave that here. And what I now want to do is, share with you ways you can get engaged, because again,
Is
we
that,
won't know at the earliest until December if any of those things come to fruition. Yes, ma'am.
can I make one
Yes, ma'am.
just clarification?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm being devil's advocate now, but the School
Yes, ma'am.
District of Philadelphia, in their fine print on their facilities planning process webpage, they say it is not an indictment of the educational acumen or prowess of the school. It is
Right.
only an assessment of the school
Yes.
building.
Yes.
So before people get out there and say they're closing the school, it does not mean Girls High ceases to exist. It
Yes.
means there may be a possibility that we cease to exist at Broad Dolly.
Yes.
So we just need to make that clarification. The curriculum, everything about Girls High will remain the same even if we relocate to another building. Did I get that correct, Principal Argo?
Yes. So I've been on this fight about even the preliminary scores that came out. And so all of those scores are out of the school's locus of control. So when you think about like program alignment, we only get programming based on what you budget me for. So that's out of my locus of control. Building utilization is like we are at 30% utilization, and that means the building can hold like 2,000 kids, like a little under 2,000, and we're at 30% utilization. So I guess that would be, but then when they think about how the building looks, that's a school district problem. So we have doors that won't close. I've been fighting that fight, and they said that they'll fix it, but then everything went to a halt because of this, this facilities plan. But what I did accomplish was they did come back to rescore our building score, because whoever came the first time scored us lower than we would suppose to score. So my rationale is if they scored us higher, then that could be you could redo the building, resurface the building instead of knocking it down or selling the property, because it's prime real estate, to be honest, if you think about it. And so what they learned was they didn't know that we had art studios. They didn't know that we had an instrumental suite on the first and second floor, like where the choir is, and on the first floor. They didn't know we had a ceramics room. They didn't know we had a double gym. They didn't know that our locker room was a certain amount of square footage. They didn't know we had a dance studio. They didn't know anything. So my question was, who was present with you when you walked the building the first time? Were you with the building engineer? Were you with the previous principal? Because I know the score just didn't add up. And they didn't know either that the school previously had that daycare center on the first floor, on the ground floor, because they were saying like it was no room for programming a pre-K. And of course, Lord Jesus, we don't want a pre-K. However, it is bathrooms back there, and the fitness center still has furniture from when it was a preschool. So if it had to be a preschool, it is a preschool space. So they didn't look at all of that. So then they backstep and said, we wanted to see what you were doing with it now. I said, no, that's not what it said. That's why Dr. Wallace sent you back out. Because during our principal advisory board meeting, I made a big stink about it. Like, no, my school has a double gym. My school has a locker room. I even showed them the shower space that hasn't been utilized since who knows. But it's still there and it's still functional if you needed to use it. So I walked them back around the building. It took us like 2 hours. And so you saying this just made me think about my follow up because I haven't heard anything from them back since they did that long walk on the build. That was about 2 weeks ago that they did that walk. So that our building programming score or whatever category that goes in about how the building looks should change because I pointed out all these areas that they didn't see before that. But I do feel like this whole category, we did explain to Dr. Wallington that it wasn't in collaboration with the community. It's a dictatorship. And he did get upset. He got very upset when we said that. But it is because you picked these four categories without the community even knowing what they were. You came up with these quadrants and you're going to the community to give them the information, but they didn't really collaborate. You just told us. And then you made us do this activity that, again, just informed us. You didn't include us. And so, being a primary role in my union as well, I get to go to a lot of those meetings and we always have advised us, but you're not advising you of anything. You're dictating what you want the agenda to be. You're dictating what you want to keep a pulse on what we're saying, and that's not an advisory board. So now he switched the meeting over to like half of what he wants to tell us and half of what we want to say. And so I did explain to him that I was very upset about all these scores because all of those scores are within the district's locus of control. If you don't give schools money to buy furniture, a lot of our furniture at our schools been there before, since I went there. So it's like if you didn't give them furniture, then how? Like the main office still had metal desks before I came. I had to repurpose some funds to make the office look like an office and not like a classroom. So we have been pushing back. So hopefully that score will change. And I'm looking for them to just say that they're either going to rebuild or redo in our area. And we can't share a building with somebody. So we'll be pushing back about that too. Because like when you have office come in, the change school feel like I have to work at some of the school district personnel will work within the building, and it was too much. So that wouldn't work either. I think the one thing that I think would work when they said that they would have some universities maybe hold some classes in your building. If they would do that, you're gonna give my kids access. I'm all for it. So if you have professors come to Girls High, we don't use a lot of the ground floor, and you want to make that the university within the school, let's go. So I was like, okay, that works. But anything other than that, it's like no, enough for us.
Principal Agra, one
And
of the other things that I wanted to bring up was the school community vulnerability score and how we were assessed at high risk, severely high risk, because they factored in the Broad Alumnae Transportation Center, which can be a hub of really bad activity. But just a block away from Girls High, Central got a moderate risk. Is it not the same neighborhood? Do their students not take the same transportation from the Broad Alumnae transportation system? I felt that it was really slanted poorly towards Girls High. In fact, Central students from Central have farther to walk through the community to get to their school, but it's a moderate risk for them, but we're severely high risk. Um, I just felt it was slanted and it needed to be revisited.
we did as well. We did as well.
I do have one question slash comment because I read through that report. And one of the things that I noticed that with all the committees that they had involved, like from principals, teachers, whatever, and whereas some schools had multiple representation, a number of committees, we had no representation in any committee at all from Girls High.
So I don't even think It wouldn't even have mattered
Okay.
because it's a dictatorship. So the four categories came from a firm. Nobody even knew what they were. I went to some of the community meetings because I just wanted to go because Girls High technically doesn't have a network because we're the special admit schools and we're all over the city. So I went to a couple of the meetings in the networks and I also went to a meeting online because it was the summertime. I had nothing else better to do with these days. I was like, I'm going to the meeting to see what happens. So when they showed each network, they didn't really collaborate with those networks. They kind of just informed them like these are the categories. Look at what quadrant your school is. Do we agree? Do we? That's how the meetings went. So
Mm.
it was no room for you to say, well, let's look at some other categories or some qualities of the school. These firms came in 2 years ago and already had the numbers. So it wasn't at the city level when they went around the city, they didn't give community partners or stakeholders an opportunity to collaborate. They swung the presentation the way that they wanted it to present and just made you feel like you were participating by putting some dots on the chart. That's not collaboration. Collaboration is this is the end goal. We're closing schools, bottom line. Let's think about some ways that we can evaluate the schools. And then when people come up with the ways, then you go along and you pick one of those. That's collaboration. They came and said, these are the categories. This is the where we go in the quadrant. These are the new grade alignments. If you want a grade alignment, it's not on here between the lines. And this was happening. That's kind of how we were treated. So whether you were on a committee or not, it didn't matter. And believe me, I said this to you. I said this at the school board meeting and to Dr. Wallington because I'm one of those. Like this is not collaboration. You dictate it and you're telling us what you're going to do after you already did it. If you want trust, if you want transparency, and you want people to believe in your mission and vision, you have to be honest. You guys were already doing this before you brought it to us. Yeah. I've been on my soapbox about this since December. So he knows. Every time they do a PD, I just shut it down because I don't really want to hear it. Yeah. So we're waiting patiently for December and we'll see.
We shall see. Does anybody else have any other questions? So, in the meantime, how can you get involved? So, there are some really tangible ways that you can get involved. The first is through membership. So, when you join or renew your membership, you are helping to sustain programs that support current students through scholarships, through other opportunities. So, membership
Going
helps keep the organization strong. It connects you to the network of our alumni and ensures that the Alumni Association remains visible and that we're helping to shape the school's future. And so when you're joined, you're not just paying dues, you are preserving a legacy. So that's one way to really, really get engaged. The next is through volunteering. And we have our volunteer chair here, Miss Gwendolyn Benton. Miss Benton, Miss Gwen, would you like to share a little bit about getting involved through volunteering? And this is all in the packet that you're going to receive as well.
Yes, absolutely. I just joined the board this year. I was elected to the board, and I am now chair of the volunteer committee and working closely with Marcia Hinton, who's executive director. She's our liaison with the school, and then also doing some, excuse me, and trying to also do some connection with Principal Argro and Assistant Principal Clinton. We haven't done a whole lot with them right now because right now their focus is getting the recruitment done. But as far as with what you do in volunteering, there are some immediate needs that we have at the school, and our biggest push has been the library assistant. I mean, helping with the library. As some of you may or may not be aware of, when I guess it might have been 15 years ago or so that the school district eliminated librarians from the school budget, from the budgets. So there's only like 3 schools in the city that have libraries. That's because they have endowments from the alumni. So we have initiated reopening the library. Right now, we are doing it 1 day a week, and it's only 1 day a week because we don't want to commit to the school that the library is going to be open, 5 days a week, and we're not able to sustain that with, reliable, dependent volunteers. So right now, we are on 1 day a week, and the response from the students has been very encouraging. We've been 2 weeks now, and we had students have come in. One student said she didn't know we had a library. They're like, we can actually use this. We can come in, and we actually had some girls check out books. I think it's the first time books have been checked out of that library since about maybe 2004, based upon the library cards that I found. So that's a big push that we have there. We're going to be working to see what other uses we can put to the library based upon how that fits in with what the administration goals are at the school. And the other volunteer efforts we have to do with when we have career days, award programs, and just really trying to make the alumni visible to the students. Marsha has done a fantastic job because the office is open now, whereas when I was at Girls High, it looked like a museum room that was set aside. So there are other volunteer opportunities they're going to be working with. We need chaperones for when the girls go on trips. And so we'll be reaching out to you throughout the year to let you know what opportunities are available. The other big volunteer effort we have is mentoring, and also with the career day, and that's all coordinated by Twi Chin. So I'm going to hand that off to her to let her talk about how the mentorship program, you can be involved with that and other areas under her. Twi, take it away.
Great. Thanks, Gwen. Hi, everyone. Twi Chin, class of 1990, same as Z 234. I chair the mentorship committee. I'm also on the board. So our mentorship initiative is two-pronged. We are trying to, or we have set up a speaker series where we bring in a speaker or a panel of speakers to come in. We're targeting once a month, and they'll come in and talk about their career path, lessons learned. I coin it as mini career days, but focused on a person or a panel of speakers. So we'll start off the day with a school assembly where the speaker or the panel will talk about their background, and then we'll hold 4 small group Q&A sessions where the students can come in and engage more personally with the speakers. And we do that in the library to also kind of expose them to the library. So that's the speaker series. If anybody's interested, let me know. I'll drop our email into the chat. It's mentorship@ghsalumni.org, but I'll drop that in the chat. And then the second prong of our mentorship initiative is a one-on-one mentoring program, where we try to pair students with mentors for either in-person or virtual mentoring. We've had a bit of a slow start there because we do require our mentors to have clearances that are required by the school district. So far, we've gotten a lot of interest in mentoring, but so far we only have about a dozen mentors who've actually gotten all of their required clearances. So if you're interested, we have a one pager that'll help you with the process. I promise you, it doesn't take more than an hour to get through all of your clearances and to do the online training. So if you're interested, again, email me and I will send you the information. But so those are the two prongs to our mentorship initiative. Always looking for volunteers. Reach out to me. Thank you.
And then there is
Back to you, Izette.
Thank you. Go
There
ahead, Mom.
is another portion to volunteering that is not necessarily school focused, but it's alumni association focused. And we're always looking for alum to be on our committees. And that is where the focus of our work is generated in our committees. You know, we have the work of the mentorship committee under the guidance of Twy has done amazing work. And that is because she and her committee have put in the work. Gwen needs help on her volunteer committee. It's just she and Tanya. So, reaching out to our alum, if what was it that India Ari said? Get in where you fit in. So we're asking you for your skills and talent. One of the rare instances that we're not asking you for your treasure, but we'll come back to that. But if you have time and talent, another volunteer opportunity is serving on a committee. And I apologize that my video is off. I am in Tall Tree Land. I'm across the street from an arboretum, and the signal gets wonky with tall trees. So I've heard that if you turn off the video, your signal is stronger. So I apologize for not being on screen for you ladies.
Not a problem. Well, thank you so much. Yes, we cannot. As every time we need you, we need you, we need you. We can't do this without you. And yes, just reach out. And again, if you don't know where you fit in, call us. We'll tell you. We'll let you know. We will give you some ideas. Um, we are now at the place for announcements. I know at minimum, our beautiful Vice President, Nanette Bennett, has some announcements.
I sure do. All right. If you are class 237, make some noise. Woo woo. Wait. Okay. All right. If you are 240, my little sisters, make some noise. Woo. Okay. That's fine. That's okay. But that's the type of excitement we need you to have, right? We are all proud of our class. We were out to dinner a couple weeks ago, and my husband, who's not even from Philadelphia, we were sitting at the table, and he was like, he hits me. He's like, she went to Girls High, and I said to this woman, I said, what class? She was like, what? I said, you're not really Girls High. You're imposter, miss. Because if I say what class, we all know what that means, right? And so just excited about being a Girls High girl, excited about being an alum. And to that, we want you to bring that excitement. We are bringing back the holiday reunion. This year, I want you to save the date, write it down. It is going to be December 13th, 2 p.m. We are working out all of the details, and the events committee has not met, so I cannot divulge the secrets. Although, if you want to send me a secret chat and you cash at me $5, I will give you all the tea. Just $5, and I will give you all the tea. But if you don't want to do that, then just wait a couple of days after the events committee meets, but just hold the date for December 13th. It will be in the Philadelphia area. We're just working out the details to keep it as low as possible so I can say my famous line, how can you holler when it's only X amount of dollars? We're going to try to keep it as low as possible for you all because we understand, what we're all going through. However, it's priceless. There's no price that we can put on being able to get together, be able to hold each other, see each other, touch each other, laugh together, and we might even get a prize for the class that has the most amount of people. So Zed, don't do it because I know how 2, 3, 4 gets, but so don't do it. But we are excited about being able to bring this back and be back together in each other's presence. So again, that is Saturday, December 13th from 2 to 5. And as soon as the events committee can lock down the details, we'll be getting that out. But that'll be in the next week or so. And before I let this go for the next announcement, I really do want to plug again for the opportunity for you all to be involved. Actually, one of my little sisters is here in my house right now. And I said, and she's 240. And I said, the principal just said the 240 doesn't get involved and that y'all don't do things and that y'all need to be better about it. So get your people in your class together. And she said, well, all y'all have to do is give us a specific task. I said, great. Here are your specific tasks. I need you to become a member of the Alumni Association. I need you to give us some of your treasure, and I need you all to volunteer and be a mentor. Those are specific enough. All right, let's get it. So, get involved, spread the word, do the things that you know are going to get other people link up. Things happen when we get together, and we all know that. So, if you can be involved in any of those things, in any of our committees, if you can come into the school, if you can just have our backs right as a school, and stop the negative conversations that are out there, right? Like, and counteract that. Those are the things that are going to help us move forward. Everybody, my sister used to say everything ain't for everybody, right? Well, that's bad English. So what I'm going to say is everybody may not be able to do the same things, but we can all do something to get our alma mater together. So with that, I'm going to shut up and give it back to Zeb and Mar. But what I will do is see you on December 13th. Woo! Let's get it. All right.
Woohoo! I just want to make a few announcements on behalf of the membership committee and their upcoming events. They will be having November 1st a homecoming committee interest meeting. If you remember, the first homecoming was just last month. It was a weekend of activities, and it was a fun packed weekend. On November 23rd, there will be an Eagles watch party at Miller's in the Northeast. Eagles play the Cowboys. You know you want to show up and scream at the screen. January 3rd, they're doing a virtual vision board party. It's for Alumni Association members only. And February 7th, they are returning to their annual Galentine Day event. Not sure what it's going to be, but we will be celebrating Galentine's Day again. All of these activities will be on our website. You ladies will also get a copy of the annual report. It will be sent to your individual emails, and a copy of the video recording will be posted on our YouTube channel, and the link will be shared. Thank you so much, ladies, and I turn it over to President Kinder.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.